really hoping to do another game this week, but motivation seems to be in short supply, so I decided just to go ahead and review Sniper Ghost Warrior, a game I bought on Steam years ago and had never gotten around to completing. I decided to play it a few weeks ago and said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to record it and keep the footage for a rainy day. So here we are. First off, you probably noticed that everything is upside down. Yeah, I don't get it myself. I didn't have this problem until Windows 8 rolled around, and apparently it's a known issue that the developers just don't feel like fixing. From what I understand, it's a video card driver incompatibility. If this scares you away from the game, I will assure you that it doesn't actually affect anything other than the opening cutscenes. Yeah, it's kinda trippy, but once you move on to the main menu and start a game, you'll see that everything is as it should be. If you really can't get over the fact that the opening cutscenes and the menu video is upside down, I think you need to start being a little bit more positive in your life. Overall, Sniper Ghost Warrior is an FPS game, as you would expect. You'd also be incorrect in guessing that for the majority of the missions, you play as an expert sniper. There are times where you play as a backup rifleman, but I'll get to that later. The first level of the game is a basic training affair, which the game thankfully allows you to skip, which you can feel free to do so if you've ever played any modern FPS game in your life. The next level focuses on your controlled sniper trying to sneak to a vantage point to take out some sort of corrupt general. As much as I would love to go on about the story, I won't, because it's your normal cookie cutter styled story that you're not going to give two shits about. All you need to know is that you play as an American sniper and an American rifleman that are shooting the bad guys. America! Fuck yeah! So let's just move on to the gameplay. You know how it works. You move around with the W, A, S, and D keys. Right click to zoom, left click to go boom. Again, your basic stuff. But the sniping mechanics are the focal point of the game, of course, so let me discuss those. Basically, whenever you zoom in and hold for a second or so, you'll see a faint red circle appear. This is the impact point of your bullet. The game tries to take things like your heartbeat, range to target, and wind in consideration, but it doesn't always feel like that's accurate. Range, definitely, but the wind can sometimes be a bit sketchy, and the heartbeat almost feels way too random. The lowest I've seen it is about 80, and sometimes that can be the same as 140. Maybe it's because, according to the readout, it's not 80 beats per minute, but 80 beats per freaking second. How does this guy's heart not just explode? I'm pretty sure 80 beats per second isn't normal in any way, shape, or form. Another cool thing to watch is the bullet cam, used after many of the longer hits. No matter how often you see it, it's always satisfying to watch the bullet go from the barrel of your rifle to the end of your opponent. Of course, it doesn't always activate, but it's still enjoyable to view. And being that you are a sniper and wearing a ghillie suit, there are of course some stealth segments, and these can be frustratingly hit or miss. In the first mission, you have a spotter that's trying to navigate you through a camp. If you don't listen to exactly what he's saying, you might be discovered, and that would be bad, as you are definitely not a bullet sponge. Yet later on in the game, in one of the final missions, you have to run away after assassinating one of the bad guys. When they say, oh yeah, you're cleared, move on, you'll approach a bridge with our lookout party. These guys will see you no matter what. At first, I thought I was doing something wrong, so I restarted the level to see what happens. Same issue. To the Steam forums! Apparently, I'm not the only one who has had issues with this mission. And apparently the weapons in this game have a maximum range, because that little pistol doesn't look like it was even getting close to hitting any of the bastards. The only thing that worked was to slowly and methodically pick off the bad guys until you reach one that literally can't be killed because he doesn't move close enough, and then just run for it. Otherwise, you'll die in a second flat. And that's just infuriating, enough that I actually uninstalled the game before reinstalling it the same day and deciding to review it. And that brings me to the AI of the game. There's only two settings, it seems, and each is on the extreme end of the challenge spectrum. At one point, enemies might watch a cohort fall to a bullet to the head, but then just stand there and do nothing. But at another, you might pick off a guy who is in a lone lookout tower, away from everyone possible, but then you'll be swarmed by 20 angry mercs. Again, gaming logic baffles me. And friendly AI? Don't get me started. In order to really talk about the friendly soldiers, I'm going to take a side path here and talk about the rifleman stages. They're limited in number, thankfully, but that doesn't really help because the weapons you get are inaccurate as fuck. As I've mentioned many times before, I've fired an M16 and M4 many times in my life. Very accurate weapons. Yet in this game, these things kick harder than a freaking M249, making it very difficult to actually hit anything. You're better off saying fuck the iron sights and just hip fire, hoping you hit them. I found one of the enemy's weapons are a bit better, but overall, the lack of accuracy with these weapons make the rifleman's segments much more frustrating than they need to be. I was expecting to enjoy these more, but it was quite the opposite. So back to the friendly AI. Sometimes they're nice and average, moving when they should and attempting to kill enemies, although we all know that doesn't happen because you're always teamed with a bunch of fucktards that wouldn't be able to hit a building 10 feet ahead of them with a grenade launcher. But that's besides the point. In a later mission where you're storming a small village to save an informant, you're running ahead, mowing down legions of enemies. But check out the map. Your teammates are hung up on a box. They don't move forward. This happened all 3 times I've played the game. It's a shame you can't just shoot them yourself and report back that they were casualties of the mission. Dumb fucks. But there are other inconsistencies that show that the game was going for the look of a poor man's COD. You can collect laptops for intel, similar to Modern Warfare 1, but although they do give you a very minute look on the enemy's regime, that's it. There's no real unlockable for finding these, other than your standard achievements. So really, looking around for these laptops really aren't worth it. You also get the ability, as a sniper, to drop your rifle and pick up any of the enemy weapons. Again, not worth it in the least, unless you want to fight the worst recoil ever and potentially equally as bad hitboxes. I couldn't imagine playing this game dropping a sniper rifle. There is regenerating health up to a certain point. When your life drops below 30, it will automatically pop back up to that magical number. If you want to give yourself a buffer, you can use one of the health syringes that you can find in first aid kits scattered around the game. These syringes give you 50 points of health, up to a maximum of 100. You can carry up to 5 of these syringes. You also get briefings and updates via some chick over your headset, but you can tell that the guys who wrote the game either didn't know military lingo or just didn't care, because they call it a stat scan instead of a sat scan. There were other inconsistencies too, but I can't remember what they were, and I never wrote them down, so you'll just have to take my word for it. At times, you'll also be required to use a grappling hook to navigate the terrain. You're going to hate these. You'll throw the grappling hook and then move like a sloth. Typically, moving up and down it isn't so bad, but if you're still traveling on foot and nearing the edge of a platform, you'll move so freaking slowly that you're just going to be tempted to jump off the cliff and risk death. It's painful, but take a look at this mission where the grappling hook just goes fucking apeshit. I just restarted the stage. I couldn't do it. At this point, I was just hoping the game was over soon, and thankfully, it almost was. A couple of other minor things. When traveling in the game, you have to stick to standard paved roads a lot. This makes no sense when you're playing as a sniper. Why would you travel on a road? You're supposed to be remaining unseen, so why would you risk this by running on an open road? In addition, you can't really get around that. The game is set to you in a linear way, almost like a rail shooter. Paths that you think that you can take to avoid detection are often blocked off by invisible walls. It's just a lazy design choice. As for the graphics of the game, for the most part, they're pretty well done. It's a shame graphics don't make or break a game for me, but the world itself looked beautiful, being that the environment was a lush island. The human graphics are a bit hit or miss. The sniper looks pretty good, but when you meet up with a group of rebels, I couldn't help but think that their hair looks like wax. In addition, weapons look good, but when reloading you see some odd things. For one, the selector switch has a safe firing mode in the middle, which I have never seen on any rifle ever. It's always on the far left. I even found a picture of the SR-25, one of the more often used sniper rifles that you use in the game, and compared the game against the real thing, and just found that they are completely inconsistent. Same with reloading. Look at this. Are you inserting the magazine upside down? It's just plain laziness in design. Overall, Sniper Ghost Warrior is a bargain bin game, and it shows. It shows lazy design, frustrating AI, and a laughably basic storyline. And hell, you don't even slay any of the villains. They're all done automatically in scenes, which is really disappointing. You get to have one chance to kill the final enemy, but even so, check out this ending.
Target down. Kill confirmed.
Mission accomplished. Get out of there.
Overall, unless you can get it for like $1, don't bother with this one. Final score? 5 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.